This is data recording 3. I am Obelisk of Malice, here to report on my current experiments. Today, I'm going to go over a few things I may have mentioned in earlier records and, well, forgot to talk about. The drawings in this video are more recreations of my original notes, and at least one of these experiments are highly classified. But that just means I get to leave out some bits of information. You're welcome. Now, in Personal Record 1, I mentioned I was looking at the rock formations of a planet quite distant from my current resident solar system. That experiment was HOOOFR. This was intended to be only a vacation for some proper rest and relaxation. Sadly, I can't let things be what they are, so I had to poke my nose into some rocky business. I'm not as well versed in rocks as well as I am in biology and magics, but I did have quite a bit of fun sorting rocks and digging around. Now, annoyingly, my main focus of study did happen to get smashed into bits, but that's a minor inconvenience. I did manage to find a new cliff of strange rocks, so that's what I'll go over. Now, my understanding of rocks are thus. Sedimentary rocks are made of organic or mineral deposits accumulated over time. So fossils are typically found in layers of sedimentary rock, as fossils are the bones of organic things, and are trapped within mud or sand, things that pile onto the corpse of the animal fast enough to preserve the bones and allow minerals to slowly replace the bones. Igneous rock is essentially cooled off lava or magma. It's melted rock that has since cooled off. Of course, this mostly happens in volcanoes, of course, but it also happens within the mantle or crust of planets due to partial melts of the rock. Melts? Melting? Not sure. Words. Anyway, metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock arises from a process in which existing types of rock go through intense pressure, often 100 megapascals. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And temperature of 200 Celsius or more. So, if my understanding is correct, sedimentary rocks come from when rock was open to skies and animals, and normal organic stuff. Igneous rock comes from either deep down near the mantle or crust of planets, or it signifies a volcano, sort of, like magma seeping onto the surface. Not too sure if that's always a volcano or not. Anyway, this planet I was on, specifically a forest dense area, had these odd bent layers of sedimentary rock. Normal layers of sedimentary rock are generally called stratigraphic sequences. The odd thing is, I've noticed these rarely contain volcanic rock, and I don't usually contain metamorphic rock, and they're usually straight. This pattern, however, had a few thin layers of what I can only assume is volcanic rock, and the straight lines have been bent in odd places, which is odd. The drawing I've included is what the layers should look like. I mean, if the volcanic rock was in there, that usually is supposed to show a volcanic event that happened in the past. The problem is I did a quick snoop and didn't see anything to suggest a volcano. This research is inconclusive, as the planet had very little volcanic activity. I just wanted to talk about my rocks. Experiment HOOOFR is inconclusive, as I can only assume there's more to see. And, well, I can't exactly take another vacation anytime soon. Perhaps I'll just have to update you guys later. Oh well. To sum up Project V274GD, I would describe it as giving guns to idiots for profit, since I essentially designed the most cost-effective and powerful weapon for the sake of funding future experiments. I was hired by the Corridor, the equivalent of a mafia boss, if he was in charge of the space fleet. The Corridor it's a position of importance within a fleet of pirates. He, of course, would in turn have plenty of money, which is exactly what I wanted from him. It's not really my business what he chooses to do with this invention, as I have a failsafe if he ever decides to turn it against me. I also implemented the weapon with several design choices that make operation of the weapon particularly easy. This, of course, is outlined in the manual I supplied the Corridor with for his soldiers. Sadly, all of them are less than ideally situated mentally for more demanding mental tasks, to put it lightly. And they've yet to look deep into the manual. I shortened it from a series of manuals to only one. It's their problem if no one chooses to simply sit down and read it. Regardless, the weapons I have made have been dubbed gravity imploders by the lessers. Personally, I call them centralized deconstruction devices. This is because it is I, only I, that knows these weapons don't make use of gravity to crush whatever is hit by them. That may have been what I was commissioned for, but that's stupid. Instead, by utilizing waves, I can sort of cook whatever it is the thing is pointed at, then crush it. This is possible due to the replaceable energy capsules that I manufacture. They supply about 10 shots worth of energy before needing to be replaced entirely. They supply the energy needed in short bursts to machines that create and amplify the desired waves through the tip of the weapon. I suppose this could be called a gun, couldn't it? Regardless, the picture shown is only the tip of the weapon. The slots slide open upon sensing the depletion of the energy capsule and reveal the inner mechanisms that hold and draw power from the capsules. This is by far my favorite part of the entire design. That's because if you look a little closer, you'll find that the weapon can be adjusted to hold more capsules at once for a powerful blast. If the idiots that use them would realize that, I would no longer have flooding complaints of weapons not being powerful enough to puncture the outmost side of armored vehicles. Again, I clarify, idiots. These people are just bumbling, babbling idiots. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. I'm not going to spoon feed them any more than I already have. It's useless. On top of the energy capsule, I have several tools used to change the output of the device. Thankfully, a few more of the skilled weapon users have figured this out for themselves. The long stick with the round end will minimize and strengthen the effect of the gun. This is useful for sniper work, I believe. I can really only assume. The second tool I created is meant to be used for the sake of temporarily amplifying the power of the weapon. By using it to tweak the energy capsules, you can use all of their power at once for a more powerful effect. This does mean reloading sooner than without tweak, but it amplifies the power of the weapon intensely. The third item is a bit of a doozy. By attaching it securely to the end of the weapon, you can change the output from waves to light. This is effective for low light scenarios or for flammable substances such as plant material. It also has a scope on top to view through. By flipping a switch, it goes from a solid beam to shootable bullets of energy. In short, this device is meant for efficient, merciful killing. I'm paid handsomely for editing the device as the courier requests. On top of that, I'm paid consistently and quite well to create and distribute these weapons. I'm not rich by any means, but I'm wealthy enough to buy certain things, items, for my experiments, and for when I host the occasional ball. A002JW. Now, while I may have mentioned hosting a ball in previous records, I failed to give you a full explanation of what happened. That's because I wanted to collect a bit more data before telling you about the celebrations. It's also because the drawing I made for this part of the record, it died. I went to the infinite world of computer internet stuff and never came back, and I have no intention of making it again. So I grabbed the only related piece of art that 003 made. It is a bit odd, as it's a comic of the events that transpired from someone else's point of view, but that's fine with me, as it doesn't specify much that happened. The first ball, of course, was a bit uncomfortable. It was my first public appearance ever, particularly as a Zychoric Vinralf. I knew very little about my guests in attendance and was particularly shy, I guess. That's what 001 told me. I have, after all, never been inside such a crowd before, ever. Though my skills have since improved, as I've held a second ball. I didn't mention it as I wanted room to prepare and enjoy the experience, though. Now, the balls are meant to bring my closer group of suppliers together for the sake of a bit of friendly conversation. I supply food, drink, and entertainment. As such, in the first ball, I received a very friendly welcome to the inner group of alien lords, in quotes, those that control many and have a far reach of influence. One particularly lord invited me to dance, my first dance. From there, the night flew by as I met and talked and laughed with everyone there. I've found much support from these people since, and a few merchants from the inner circle have opened up their rarer wares for me to purchase. The second ball, as I now had a bit of prior experience, was far more relaxed. I spent more of my time drinking and enjoying the time I had with them all. So here's the collection of information I gathered. Drinking? Bad idea. You wake up the next day groggy and ill, not because of any alcohol, because of the intense amount of sugars contained within. That and the odd ingredients used for the food to supply all species with something to eat. Conversation? Hard. Hard, hard, hard. What in the world are you supposed to talk about with people? Seriously. I can't talk about experiments. Half of those in attendance don't care what goes on in the background of the devices they use. The ones who do care can't understand what I talk about half the time. Dancing? Great fun. It's wonderful. I do love dancing with others, particularly that one lord who introduced me to the others that first day. Information gathering? The best part. I learned so much from the gathered lords and ladies. I also gained so many wonderful gifts. It's custom within the circle to gift every host with something special to them. For me, the guests like to bring me interesting test subjects. And my conclusion, it's the best to host such social events. I think next I might very much like to host a masquerade, as to gain a more impartial understanding of the lords and ladies that attend. I have plans for a proper disguise. Perhaps I'll attend another host's gathering sooner or later. I'm not too sure. It seems a bit dangerous, though they are rather useful. While these experiments don't have any particular ending or conclusion like the others, I do find them a bit more interesting. Don't you think a personally collected conclusion is better than a given one? I'll delve deeper into designing things in the future, as I feel as though my simple drawings I show in the background of these records are a bit more bland than I'd like. I believe I'd certainly enjoy doing more personnel records. Now, of course, my favorite experiment from this was A00JW. A002JW. My bad. It was the most entertaining to execute and provided the deepest insight. While I may update my findings in the future, I don't believe my opinion of it will change. It's something I could do over and over again and never grow sick. The sleepless nights of companionship with my equals, the music and the laughter, the food and the enjoyment. Everything ties what I've been working towards together like a perfect bow on top. While I may have never left my home as a tetrarch, I am able to experience the life of adventure and enjoyment I have always desired. My apologies for getting sidetracked. My next record will dip into a few past ideas and experiments, mainly as I have little time to deem what's possible for me to share beyond what the most basic of information we do here. This has been Obelisk of Malice. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day.